let's come back to the topic that we were discussing. I mean, about retail sales. At a time when product and services, there is very, very little difference. Sales and customer experience is the biggest differentiator. I mean, at times there is no particular difference between a service and a product. The way a customer service person sells, I mean, that becomes the differentiating factor. So with this idea, let's look at what are the challenges involved in this. Now, you need to be, I mean, how do you train associates without taking them off the sales floor? Now, a day off the sales floor, a day off the field is a massive cost that businesses have to incur. So how do you do an induction program at scale? Now, different people are joining at different points of time. I mean, so how do you train them together without having like an offline a training system? So how do you do that?
And also Subhash, to intervene, the attrition rates at this level of work is very high. Exactly. So you can't afford to keep sending people for training to an X training event venue all the time. You need something in which the induction can be done easily. If someone new has joined, they can be inducted, oriented very easily, and you save on costs, as Subhash was saying. Absolutely. So you need to train on product knowledge, you need to train on behavioral training. There's a lot of training involved. So how are we going to do it is what we're going to explain in this presentation. Please go ahead.
Right. So the second point about what Shom was touching upon, saying that very good product knowledge and behavioral training is required. And there is this interesting correlation that we were working with an automobile manufacturer who was telling that the more product knowledge a salesperson has, the better performer he is in terms of sales. So that's something which is we will be talking about in greater detail. But not only that, it's not only the product knowledge, but it is good behavioral or sales training which needs to be packaged along with the product knowledge. The second is, how do you create a scalable training program? So once you create a training program, you should be able to scale it into multiple geographies, multiple zones, multiple languages. And the interesting thing is it should be reusable so that you don't go back and incur the cost. And Shom will be talking about how we did it for IFB. The second thing, I think the third point, what Shom really talked about, this is an industry which has, customer facing or the frontline associates, the kind of attrition or the turnover that we see is high, but it doesn't stop us from training them. So,
excuse me, Subhash, since we had work at home, there is my dogs barking in the background. So we're all working from home. We have to tolerate that. I think they'll be quiet in a while. They're already quiet. So okay, please excuse this. And that's another thing which I'd like to touch upon, which is contactless training. Right. Now, in the current scenario, it is very relevant, contactless training. So that's another part of it, because everyone is working from home and, during these times, the difficult times. So contactless training is another very important part. And we will sort of address that. I've already addressed it. We'll address that and explain to you how we can do that with the training that we are planning.
I think these are all, this is part of work from home life, and that's, I think it's perfectly acceptable. The fourth point, how do you motivate associates on a daily basis when your job is tough? Frontline selling is not an easy job. They need to be motivated. They need to be charged each and every day. Typically, what we have observed is training is probably an annual or a quarterly affair. It is not. It's like this classic internet, meme, which actually follows, which is you need to have your bath every day. Motivation is like that in a sales job. You need to be motivated and charged every day so that you can go out on the sales floor or in the field and be equally charged. So that's that. How do you do it on a daily basis? That is what we will be addressing. And how do you ensure constant learning? Learning is not once in a year affair. You have to learn constantly, and we are going to showcase a solution. What we did for IFB, which addresses nearly all these points that we have actually covered.
Yeah, I just like to go back to that slide, Subhash. Right. How do you install constant training? Now, constant learning is very important because when the customer service associate is pitching the product to a customer, if he keeps pitching it in the same way every time, then what will happen is that there will be monotony created in his own mind.
Right.
And once there's monotony created, he'll be selling the product in the same way every time, and then he might miss the sale. Because, and when we say constant learning, we are talking about giving him new ways on a regular basis to pitch the product. And we're going to be talking more about that and how we did that with IFP very effectively. Please go ahead, Subhash.